who is Scottish, has been brought up down in Essex, and well, what a moment for him. His first cap, and they'll be watching on at home, I'm sure.
I just had to clarify too, as get things underway with a single to Bertel. If you look him up online, it says he's 6'5", but I did confirm with him
down in Essex,
himself.
And
How tall are you?
His first
he
cap,
said
and they'll be watching on at home,
I said,
I'm
it
sure.
says 6'5" online, and he's like, well,
I just had
so
to
I think that he's grown an
clarify
extra
too,
centimetre since being handed his Scotland
things
cap.
underway.
And
with
why
a single
not
to
just
Bertel.
stand a little bit taller? If you look him up
Maybe extra
online, it
inch.
says he's
But who is
6'4".
Scottish?
Oh yeah, next I did confirm with
Brought
him.
up down in Essex.
He's not going to get you from 6'5" to 6'6".
How tall are you?
His first cap,
Well,
and they'll be watching
if
on
you're
at home.
rounding up, 6'5" online, and he's like,
If you're rounding up.
I reckon he's about
just
6'6".
had to
think that he's
clarify too.
Tall, strong action causes some
underway.
problems.
And why not
He's
just
gonna hang
stand a
all in,
little
doesn't
bit
it, with
taller?
the
If you look him up
Maybe extra
online, it
inch.
says he's
But who is
6'4".
Scottish?
Oh yeah, next I did confirm with
Brought up
him.
down in Essex.
He's not going to get you from 6'5" to 6'6".
How tall are you?
His first cap, and they'll be watching
If
on
you're
at home.
rounding up, 6'5" online, and he's like,
If you're rounding up.
I reckon he's about
So I think that he's clarify too. Just talking
Tall, strong action causes some
underway.
problems.
And why not
He's gonna
just
hang
stand a
all in,
little
doesn't
bit
it, with
taller? If you look him up online, it says he's 6'4". Oh yeah, next I did confirm with
Brought up
him.
down in Essex.
He's not going to get you from 6'5" to 6'6".
How tall are you?
His first cap, and they'll be watching
If you're
on at home.
rounding up, 6'5" online, and he's like,
If you're rounding up.
So I think to clarify too.
Tall, strong action causes some
underway.
problems.
And why not just stand a little bit taller? If you look him up online, it says he's 6'4". Oh yeah, next I did confirm with him. Good running, but also I think he's
6'5",
quite happy.
His first cap, and they'll be watching
If you're
on at home.
rounding up, 6'5" online, it's like,
If you're rounding up.
so the edge rather too, the middle of the back.
Strong action causes some
Away.
problems.
And why not just stand a little bit taller? If you look him up online, it says he's 6'4". Oh yeah, next I did confirm with him. Good running, but also I think he's quite happy. If you're rounding up, 6'5" online, it's like,
rounding up.
so the edge rather too, the middle of the back.
Strong action causes some problems.
And why not just stand a little bit taller? If you look him up online, it says he's 6'4". Oh yeah, next I did confirm.
Bounce on offer. Keeper and slips are a long way to the first cap.
Good to see him get his chance. It's a good move, whatever the outcome is. Get him a cap, jump into the distance. See how he goes. He's a fine batter as well. You have to remember that. He probably would consider himself, certainly in Scotland under 19 level, more of an all-rounded bowler. Banger son off.
Yeah, that series you were talking about last year involving England and Ireland as well at Loughborough. Only took 2 wickets in that series, but you're right, Lenny, he was pretty impressive with the bat. And that's an exciting prospect for Scotland because we've spoken about just how deep they do bat. We've seen all of them really making contributions.
And yeah, just a real shame that he got injured in that first game in the Under-19 World Cup. I think he only played the one appearance, didn't he? If I've got that right. As this one's punched through the covers and going to race to the rope. Very short out there. Brandon McMullen dispatched to the boundary immediately.
Yeah, that one ended up in the zone. He had a bit of width to work with. And really, that just dropped right into the slot. As always, we see Matt Cross, the wicketkeeper, up to the stumps for Brandon McMullen. Maybe trying to find a bit of swing. Early on, he does threaten early, often takes early wickets. Does Brandon McMullen when he gets that ball swinging around. Missed out again with the bat today. He's been going through the doldrums a little bit with the bat, but I thought he bowled really well in the last game against the Netherlands.
Yeah, 3 wicket hauls in both his appearances so far. contrasting 3-wicket hauls, though. One of them came with plenty of penetration at the top. The other one came with a lot of waywardness in its first spell, and then a great return. Did think he should have bowled more the other day. It was costly when he kind of came back, and the fascination for me today will be how will Richie Berrington use Michael Leask, who's going to be full of confidence. Nicely bowled, beats the outside edge. Yeah, just the one appearance at that Under-19 World Cup down in South Africa. You're in Group B in Potchefstroom, and were you doing that group?
No, I was in
Where were you?
Kimberley.
Oh, you were in Kimberley, weren't you?
I was in Kimberley with the Australians.
Yeah, he only bowled 4 overs that day and got injured in that spell as England won by 7 wickets against the old enemy Scotland, or Scotland's old enemy, whichever way you want to put it. And yeah, he was batting 7, so seen as an all-rounder there at that level. It'll be interesting to see him with the bat today. Not needed. Charlie Castle, big day for him too, Mel.
It certainly is. Back here, he hasn't played a huge amount for Scotland. He played in that series, though, because Chris Soul was injured a year ago here at Forfarshire. He has probably more nip than swing, you would say, as we see Brandon McMullen finishing off his over well after that first over pitch ball was dispatched for 4 after 2, Nepal 9 for none. Yeah, Charlie Castle came into the side. He was on the ground staff here playing his club cricket here at Forfarshire. He's moved clubs since. Came in, and boy oh boy, what a day that was. So memorable. He was out for a year with injury before then. Originally, of course, from Australia, born in Perth. Played a lot of cricket down there. And he used to come across as a youngster.
Edged and put down. A chance at a first ever wicket in international cricket for Mackenzie Jones. And, well, he sprawled across the turf is George Munsey. Can't believe that was his first slip chances come relatively easy to very catchable height. Went to his left. Oh, that was as easy as they could be. And Asif Sheikh has a life.
Well, George Munsey dropped one early in the slips against Netherlands a couple of days ago, and he's normally so bankable for those slip catches. So he'll be disappointed in more than anything else. I think he'll be disappointed for Mackenzie Jones, knowing that would have given the debutant his first international wicket. He's been finding the edges on both sides of the bat, Jones, early on. Look, still got a smile on his face. Good to see.
Should have been taken.
Should have.
Really should have been taken. George Munsey's day going from bad to worse. A 5th ball duck and now a drop catch. As Bertel drives straight at cover point to keeps it to a dot ball. I don't know where that went wrong, because it's a lovely catchable height that came comfortably to him, and it just went in and went out. Yeah, for those not following the Cricket Scotland social media channels, I'd implore you to do so. Amazing content that Tom and the team overseen by Charles managed to put out there. And you can actually see the full speech from Richie Berrington there. It's a special cap for any first player, but particularly this one, cap number 700, the 700th player to play. And Richie Berrington was the one who got to give it to him. He spoke about his impact on the Scotland under-19s, his improvement down at Essex, getting right to the verge of first team cricket. Has played a couple of T20s out in Abu Dhabi on their pre-season tour. And I think from what Richie Berrington was saying, speaking so strongly about him, that yeah, this could be a man that we'll see in Scottish colours for years to come, causing lots of problems out there.
Yeah, I've been really impressed as I'm sure the Scotland fans out there have been as well. What we saw with the other two young bowlers who were playing in the first couple of games in Jack Jarvis and Jasper Davidson.
Top edge. Now Castle's not going to get there, but he should be able to stop the boundary. It's going to be a single. I think Nepal are trying to do what Scotland did, target that short boundary to the leg side. Good over again from Jones. Easily could have had his first ever international wicket in it. I'm sure that time will come, maybe even today. 11 for none after 3.
Yes, back to the point about Jarvis and Davidson was that it was really the lengths that they were struggling with. They're not express pace either, and there were too many short balls. They were just bowling a fraction short, and every time they did, they were just being put away. So I've been quite interested to see Mackenzie Jones's lengths.
Slug sweep and an extraordinary stroke. McMullen doesn't have much pace, and Bertel's just going to play his natural game. Bit of T20 in that, as it will be a couple of bounces, and those Nepal fans have enjoyed it as it flies for 4.
I love that they know where the camera is.
You're pointing up towards it now.
Just dangling the ball in, and he really just helped it on its way. He's picked up the length very quickly. Good comeback from McMullen, who's in a... It's funny, isn't it? Because you kept talking about, after watching him in the Netherlands, how he would have a very wayward first spell, and then when he came back, you get to the end of it and his figures looked sort of normal, but they usually came with an expensive first spell.
Slog sweep again. Tactic definitely from Kushal Bertel. Quite like it as well, because it's going to counteract that swing. There's a bit of risk, of course there is, but it's exploiting that 7-2 field that he so often bowls with, Brandon McMullen. And Scotland may have to think about changing something. The second boundary in 3 balls.
Well, with Matt Cross right up at the stumps, it normally stops the batters from moving around, certainly coming down the track, but just with that big stride forward and the slog sweep in his armoury, that's a really good option for Bertel, and he has executed it exceptionally well.
Sticking with the field, interesting, isn't it? Barrington's at mid-on. They had a bit of a discussion, but I think that probably, because there's so many runs on the board, Mel, they're probably just going to say, let's let him keep doing it. It's a very difficult thing to sweep and to slog sweep medium pace bowlers, but Bertel's done it twice effectively in this over, but they're sticking with that field. So first slip, second slip, deep third, or sorry, third's up in the circle, backward point, deep cover, extra cover, and wide mid-off. So it's just 2 fielders on the leg side.
And you're right, Lenny. I mean, they have given themselves a good buffer, so they'll be expecting the Nepal batters to come out hard at them. They won't take them for granted at all, but they have at least got a decent score on the board to defend.
Mix-up, going to be a run-out. Calamitous. And the question is, who's going to be run out? One of the two of them will have to go. Bertel said yes, Sheikh said no, and Barrington held his nerve. And the little cameo from Bertel will end with, well, being honest, Mel, a rather farcical run out. What's happened here?
I'm still trying to get my head around it. You see there, the old ball watching, Bertel was just going the whole time. It was a lack of communication. Asif Sheikh, he was hesitating from the start, but Bertel was absolutely determined to get down the other end. That's really poor communication between the openers and well, Bertel, who was actually looking pretty good. He's just slog swept McMullen over the rope a couple of times, and he has to walk back. Goodness. First wicket down, and it really shouldn't have been.
This is really close, Mel. I don't know if we can get a side on replay. We won't be able to do a split screen for you, but look at how close this is as to who is going to be run out. Just Asif Sheikh getting back into his ground ahead of Kushal Bertel. And, well, all Kushal Bertel can do is forlornly trudge off. That's a really surreal run out, wasn't it? Because it just came from nowhere. I think if Asif Sheikh had gone straight away, he probably would have got there. But as so often is the case, many run-outs come from mix-ups between the two batters out there and the miscommunication. So when you're chasing down 300 plus, that's flicked the thigh pad. No, it hasn't given us a wide. You've got to get everything going your way, and conceding a run out in the first 10 is well, a bit of a disaster. Here it is here. This is the side on. Great work by the team. Yeah, just the right decision. Was tight though. Never a frame you want to see. Two batters at the same end.
No, it isn't. And
something's gone horribly wrong.
It has gone, and it did go horribly wrong. And what it is, it's basically that's just a freebie for Scotland, handed to them.
Asif Sheikh is going to have to show a lot of strength of character now to battle back from that. I know he's not the one who's been out, but well, it was the miscommunication with Kushal Bertel that led to the dismissal. Really, really poor piece of running, wasn't it? Bertel will say, it's my call, just listen to my call, listen to me and let me come through for the single.
He was running to the danger end.
Nicely driven down the ground. Only a push from Asif Sheikh, but it was nicely timed, so should be at least a couple. Barrington goes after it, will just be two. The reality is, though, if Sheikh just listens to the call and runs straight away, there's probably a single there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would have been the danger end, even though it wasn't where the run out occurred. I mean, that was just because they were both at the other end, so they had all the time in the world to throw it to the other end. But yeah, it was just you had one batter absolutely determined to run and the other batter absolutely determined not to run. Great take from Matthew Cross, one of the best keepers in the business, associate world or otherwise. That ball just really straying down. Does have that jump wide of the crease that Lenny was talking about earlier. So just a couple of wayward deliveries first up, but there's been a lot to like about Mackenzie Jones first up. Time it's full, over pitched and driven for four. So Sheikh maybe a little bit sheepish after that run out. He's now taking the mantle on. And this over is just a little bit more wayward from Jones. That one just a little too full. All he has to do is lean on it. Oh, bowled him. He has got his first wicket. There it is. Mackenzie Jones. He should have had one earlier. It doesn't matter. He's got one now, and he absolutely flattens middle stump. What a wicket. What a moment for cap number 700 for Scotland.
Magnificent. Stuff of dreams for a young man. It was wide. It could have gone anywhere, but sometimes you get a little bit of fortune. And didn't he deserve it? He already created a chance. Nepal's chase is in tatters. Both openers are back in the hutch. I wonder will they even be able to look at each other, let alone talk to each other. A bit of a calamity of a couple of overs, but it's all about that man. Cap 700, as you said, Mel. Moment to saviour for him. Fantastic stuff. Nepal are in the mire. It's 27 for 2. Be the skipper. Rohit Powell will have to come out to the crease now.
Remarkably similar to the way Scotland's innings started. They lost 2 early wickets. And we're in a very similar position when Richie Barrington came to the crease. We know what happened there. Can Rohit Podell do something similar for his side? He is Mr. Dependable for Nepal in the same way Richie Barrington is for Scotland. And it's a big ask. Both of these batters now yet to face a ball. What a moment for 20-year-old Mackenzie Jones.
That extra bit of pace, and particularly the extra bounce, just causing a few problems. Nepal historically have struggled a bit against bounce as much as pace. They don't seem to struggle with pace too much, but just because of the fact that they're short in stature in general, not all of their batters, of course. Gulshan Jha, very tall young man. But yeah, definitely a good matchup and a good change. Charlie Castle will be full of confidence when he's called upon, you'd suspect as well, back on the ground where he set that world record. This is a, well, you don't want to say impossible position for Nepal, but they have it all to do right now. And Rohit Powdell is going to have to do something special, as he can't beat Michael Leask at backward point. Scotland, well, they had a bit of a score to settle, didn't they? They've got the worst of recent results with Nepal. They played each other 9 times in ODI cricket, 10 if you include today. Nepal have won 5, Scotland just 3. One washout in there as well. And you just get a sense that they really had revenge on their minds today. A run out to now a wicket for Mackenzie Jones on debut. Scotland have Nepal in a world of pain.
Brandon McMullen was
Bim Shark. And Powdell are kind of tailor-made for these sort of positions in terms of rebuilding. The issue is with such a big number they're going to have to try and hunt down, that required run rate's going to spiral, isn't it? And it's going to get big quite quickly and get into a position that's going to make any sort of reality of a chase, even with the heroics and the chaos and the madness at times of the Cardiac Kids and the pulsating brand of cricket that they play. Like, surely this is already getting to be too tall a task for even Nepal to somehow dream up an incomprehensible finish to.
You can't draw me into saying that. Anything like that, Lenny. You can't do it. I'm not gonna bite.
You took the bait all over the place in day 2 and 3, and day 1 even. You're learning, Mel Farrell.
I don't know what you're trying to do.
One of the days you were, this game's over. I said never say never here. Anything could happen here. Now, there'll be a twister turn or two, but Scotland in such a dominant position. Looks a good pitch. We've tended to see any of the assistance for the bowlers has been very early in the innings. The problem is, though, losing the 2 openers, particularly Bertel, who's really the only one of this top 5 that scores very quickly. Powdell can score quickly, but generally Asif Sheikh, Bim Sharkey, Rohit Powdell and Arif Sheikh are more players who'll strike in the 70s and in the 80s. In Arif Sheikh's case, it could be less than that at times. The power and the gear shift will then come from the likes of Dipender Singh, Gulshan Jha, Karen KC. The challenge is, though, that you can only rebuild for so long, needing nearly 7 and over right from the off.
Yeah, it's the point. The point is that the run rate is already so high at this early stage. And they do have to rebuild. They've just got to get a partnership going. Run rate required. Did I do it? Oh my gosh.
Required run rate. Maiden over from Brandon McMullen. 6 have been bowled, 27 for 2.
I just got the proper greasy eyeball. The greasy eyeball from Andrew Leonard.
Never had a greasy eyeball shape before. That's harsh. Just trying to help you out, Mel. And look at Michael Leask, like a different human after getting those runs. Let's get a look at this moment, special moment. First ever international wicket, and doesn't he love it? I'll tell you something, I'd really compel you all, if you are dual screening, if you've got us up on the laptop or tablet and you still have your smartphone in your hands, just have a watch of Richie Barrington's speech to young Mackenzie Jones. One of the lines he said is, "We will all be all behind you every step of the way." Lovely moments. There's a lot of veterans in this team, Safi and Sharif. You'll even call Michael Leask and certainly Richie Barrington veterans. Matthew Cross too. But they're uncovering a bit of young talent, aren't they? Charlie Tier with scores 250s in his 3 innings in this series. Mackenzie Jones here in his debut. Be fascinating to see how young Ollie Davidson goes, if he gets his chance as well, maybe in the T20s. Jasper we've already seen at points. Jack Jarvis is a cricketer with a rich future. It's a lovely sort of blend, isn't there? Finlay McCreath's still only 26, of that youth and experience, and maybe Liam Naylor will get his go too soon.
And that would be great to see as well if Liam Naylor got a chance. He's only played maybe one international. ODI anyway. That's that ball just played away, and what on earth has just happened? I'm look, even Matt Cross can see the funny side of that. There you go, big greasy underfoot, perhaps. Just a throw coming back in, and he dropped like a sack of potatoes. Not his most elegant moment in the middle, but I'm glad he can have a laugh about it. But definitely, I think this is part of the experience and the situation for Cricket Scotland as well, that when they do have players who are unavailable, possibly the first choice players, unavailable because of county commitments, because of work commitments, personal reasons, which happens so often, they're forced to go looking for young talent. And I think it's just a part of reality. But really, that is wonderful to see. Just the way those players came in to embrace Mackenzie Jones, the sheer delight on their face was so evident. And I just think that's such a wonderful moment. They know how special that was. It may be the first of many wickets that this young man, just 20 years of age, takes for Scotland.
First ever time that Kushal Bertel's been run out in his ODI career. Definitely something they're going to have a look at. Helped round the corner, will race to the rope. Charlie Castle won't get there. Only question is, was it a little flick of the bat or was it pad? No, it was thigh pad. Didn't sound like bat to me, so Powell won't get off the mark yet. Both batters still on none out there.
That's one thing that Jones has done a couple of times where he's erred. It's been down that leg side. He's bowled a couple of wides down there, and then a couple of times it's flicked the pads and gone for runs. So it's just been the little area where he's leaked a few. But again, that is all part of the experience. Big moment for him on debut with a wicket already under his belt.
Driven through the covers, that will get Rohit Powell off the mark. And it's going to go up towards that big throng of Nepal fans out there. Safi and Sharif will keep it to 3. A better throw might have been interesting, but Powell's very quick. And he'll get off the mark with a brace. It's 34 for 2.
I went for a little walk out around to experience the atmosphere. Wonderful atmosphere here today. The Nepal fans have all brought their flags, their music, their smiles, their love of cricket, and it's really added to the whole experience here at Fort Hill today. I have wonderfully hospitable people here at Fort Hill. We've had the wonderful Elaine brought us a flask of soup, Lenny, not for the first time this week.
I reckon it was a chicken and vegetable today. Very, very good. That's the president of the four for sure. Cricket Club as McMullen's going to continue. Our thanks to Elaine, all her team, looking after us so well here. Edged and gone. And McMullen, you can't keep him out of the game too much, can you? Nepal's chase is in tatters. Their captain has to walk back now. It all looked a bit too... Well, they've again got two batters on, none in the middle as Powell has to walk off. He'll be very disappointed. Dismissed early for 3. It was a bit of a nothing shot. That's what McMullen does so well. He bowls to that 7-2 field, gets that little bit of shape away from the right-handers, and now enter the Iceman. Here comes Arif Sheikh, fresh from a player of the match performance 4 days ago. Came against the Netherlands, played very nicely. He was given a life though, remember. He was put down on 25, went on to make 78. You just look at the approach here for Nepal. It was clear that Bertel was sent out to attack. Ever since that run out, it's just been almost a chain effect, a domino effect. And none of it happening positively. For all of Scotland's defeats in this Cricket World Cup League 2, they've taken a few. They've taken quite a few losses. When they win, they've tended to give some sides some thumpings.
Well, and that's why their net run rate, I'm sure it would still be the best in the whole league. It was on exactly 1 before their last game. And that's the reason why. When they win big.
Yeah, they have lost 6 games, but they've won 10, and a lot of those wins have been big wins, like that one where they scored 380 against the Netherlands last month. It's going to be another period of consolidation needed for Nepal. Arif Sheikh, whatever the situation is, he's a good man to have at the crease, but you do just worry about that required run rate and the wicket column. You'll never rule out something changing. Gulshan Jar, Dipender Singh Ari coming in and playing an extraordinary knock, but Nepal are right up against it already. You lose 3 in the power play, you lose most of your games. You lose 3 in the power play, chasing 320 odd. Good luck. Good night, Irene.
Well, and we're still only halfway through the 8th over. So they could well end up losing 4. It's 3 gone well inside the power play. This is a great over from McMullen.
A little bit too much movement this time. Maybe a wide. Just the glove from Matthew Cross. Able to keep it tight. It's so clever, isn't it, this concept? Even when Kushal Bertel slog swept 2 into the leg side, they didn't change it. It's a 7-2 field. You can control a lot of things when you know where the bowler is going to bowl. And okay, it's easier in these kind of slightly helpful conditions with a new ball. But it's kind of a bit old school, isn't it? It's sort of mid-90s cricket. But Brandon McMullen's so effective. Keeper up to the stumps. What do you do if you're the batter?
Well, Bertel decided he was going to slog sweep him, and he did that really well for a couple of balls. And the thing is, with Cross up, they can't come down to negate the swing. And you see there, just he is like a crouching tiger. I have to ask you as well, as we see the end of the over, 4 from McMullen gone, 8 overall, 35 for 3. You've got the Tiger and you've got the Iceman. Have you given any other nicknames to any of the players?
Yeah, it's KC's the folk hero.
A folk hero, okay.
Yeah, but that was in place long before obviously he's known as a Valentine's Day boy as well. And that has to have evolved into the Valentine's Day man now at his ripe old age due to his heroics on February 14th. The Butwell boss is Kushal Bertel for his kind of dominant way in which he bats. He's from Butwell originally. Bim Sharkey's known as Jonty. for
Oh,
his
yes.
aptitude with his fielding. They do love a nickname in Nepal. Full toss helped into the leg side. Finlay McCreath will chase in vain. That'll race to the rope. Bim Sharkey, John T himself, gets off the mark.
So as we've seen with a couple of the other young bowlers, just every now and again, he just gets his length wrong. He's over-pitched a couple. A few others have gone down the leg side, but this is an important learning experience for the young man. Ready with the wicket. Oh.
We just stuck it into the lunacy of the modern world with AI. I've never heard this before, so we.
Oh.
So obviously, you know my nickname, the Tacklu Die, and that's something that
Yes.
particularly Nepal fans love around the crowds. But then, apparently, according to AI, which I'm sure is just literally making things up, they're also saying my other nickname is Tacklu Kaka, which is bald uncle. This is flicked into the leg side. Going to be 4 more. Good shot. Just slightly the wrong angle again from Jones.
Yeah, just a couple of times he's strayed onto the leg side. There have been a couple of wides. The other one is the one that's the overcompensation, and he goes full on the offside, and they've just been able to lean into that. So just those two areas here, you see, just helped on its way. Yes, so nicknames. So you've got...
I'm the Tacklu Die, obviously, and then did a piece with the Sky Sports pundits with Michael Atherton and Nasser Hussain last year, and Athers, I think, had heard about this, so he asked me about it on the podcast. This was building up to the 20 team World Cup. Really enjoyable piece, actually, and look, 2 of my idols in the world. And I was just joking because Athers said, don't be afraid to give Nasser. I know Michael quite well. I don't really know Nasser at all. I've met him a few times before and since, but I'd be friendly with Michael, whereas I don't know Nasser anything like as well. But Athers said to me, look, don't be afraid to give Nasser a bit of stick, because we all like doing that in and around the Sky Sports circles. Understandably, he's famously a bit tight to buy a drink and the like. And yeah, Athers was asking me about my nickname, asked me to explain it, and I explained that, it was complimentary and disparaging at the same time. Complimentary in terms of the respect that is an absolute critical aspect of Nepali culture, and Dai is your elder brother, and then Tacklu's a bit disparaging, but I actually love being bald, so I don't take it as disparaging as in Tacklu. And I said to Nasser, well, look, I'm a Dai, you're my uncle, so you can maybe be the Tacklu Kaka. But then apparently AI has turned this that I'm also known as Nasser from Nepal, which I've never heard from. I've never heard that before. But is there any greater nonsense than AI and people thinking of its importance at the moment?
I know, there is some nonsense. They'll be replacing us next. It'll be commentary by AI.
Well, we had that yesterday at Lord's. It was unbelievable. I was invited down to go to this MCC World Cricket Connects weekend, particularly if the game drifts away. We can talk quite a bit about it in the second innings. But Satyan Gajwani from the Times Group of India, one of the investors in Major League Cricket, he owns Willow TV in the United States, purely from a photo of Mark Nicholas with a Channel 9 microphone, did an entire extended AI piece of commentary in a video format of what looked like Mark Nicholas on the outfield of one of the Australian grounds. Really quite scary, to be honest.
Oh my goodness.
I was actually sitting next to Michael Atherton at the time, and I said, well, you better be asking for double your rate now, because they'll be replacing us next.
Wow.
I think that's a long way away. Even just today, Faisal Islam, many of you know from BBC News, mind-blowing interview with the Turing Award-winning Joshua Bengio for BBC Newsnight, one of the 3 founding fathers of AI, is now warning the worst-case scenario is human extinction. AI isn't just risky; it could end us altogether. Well, that's progress, isn't it?
Well, haven't you seen the Terminator films?
Well, exactly.
Come on.
Be careful. I-
Skynet is coming.
I won't say who it was, but I did sit next to a commentator at one point over the last year who he had the ChatGPT app on his phone, and every time he was thinking of any point that he was making, he'd stick it into ChatGPT in terms of to check the statistics, and it was an associate game of some variety. You probably can't give away too much because you might guess who it is. And Wedge just shy of a tumbling, diving Munsey who does well. In fact, it goes through to Mark Watt in the end. And I had to actually, mute the microphones at one point and say, mate, almost all those things you're looking up aren't right. Like, it might give you an authoritative answer, but it isn't. Like, it's often completely incorrect, particularly on associate cricket. Associate cricket is still a niche. There's only so much coverage of it, and all that the AI really does is troll some of the internet and try and kind of establish artificially intelligenced answers towards you. And genuinely, all the stuff it was telling him was wrong. And I'd say, mate, like, great, you're trying to do a bit of research and stuff, but the stuff is wrong. Like, it's factually wrong.
Go back to Stats Guru.
Yeah, exactly. Good drive, but a hand from McMullen is going to save 3 runs. I think that would have raced to the rope, as Arif Sheikh will take 10 balls to get off the mark.
Yes, already that run rate required is climbing. But good piece of work. That must have stung. It's not as cold here as it has been.
Hacked into the leg side, not the right line from McMullen, but he'll get away with it because there's just one man in the deep. Gets us to the end of the power play. Definitely belongs to Scotland, but Nepal, well, they'll never give up, and you just never know with the cardiac kids. It's 46 for 3. Good time for us to ask you to send your messages in. Keep us company over the course of the next 2.5 hours or so. Andrew Leonard here alongside Melinda Farrell, as we've been ever present for these one-day internationals. Use that hashtag CWCL2 or send us in direct messages. It's easiest to get them on Twitter, even if you don't want to be on that platform. You can do Instagram too, @CricketBadge. For me, tell us that you're in, and hope you're enjoying the action live and free here on ICC TV. I've got Mel Farrell, she's @Melinda Farrell too. So use that hashtag or send us any questions that you have. We might talk a little bit more about the structure of this competition in these middle overs as we're into power play 2 now. Charlie Castle will come into the attack from the nursery end of the ground. The big question is, how much longer is Brandon McMullen going to go today? He's bowled 5. Will they get a few more out of him?
Oh, I think they'll definitely get a few more out of him. Maybe come back for a later spell.
Good start from Charlie Castle. He's had a topsy-turvy start to his international career. You couldn't go up from where he started, could you? But sadly, from him, with a few injuries and a few other challenges, he's been a little bit down. I think he might have only bowled the 1 over in that Australia series, did he? But he got taken apart against his native homeland, where he originally came from. He had a few good moments down in Zimbabwe, but he was a bit mixed in the Netherlands. Had one good spell, particularly good spell at the VRA. But he's just got to kind of find his way in international cricket, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's still very much finding that. Maybe it might be a case of coming back to the scene of the crime, as it were, where he made his debut, record-breaking debut. That might just also bring back the best of Charlie Castle. He couldn't believe it that day. We couldn't believe the just wickets kept falling. They were tumbling all over the place.
I'm not sure that record will ever be broken. It's one of those ones that, has the feel of a Bob Beamon style record that, if it is going to be broken, it might be a freak in 50 years' time or something. 7 for his debut. Yeah, he had one spell down in Harare, 3 for 34 against Zimbabwe A. Couple of mixed ODIs in Amstelveen. He played the 2 against UAE at the VRA, then didn't play at all in Utrecht. It's not easy, is it, when you're in and out? Did pick up a deal down in Somerset too, just for a little bit last summer, but Australia game was a pretty chasing experience for many of the Scottish attack. Travis Head and a few others just tore them apart. He only actually bowled one over in that game. One over, none for 19. Jack Jarvis only bowled 10 balls. He went for 45. I think it was a record power play of all time, wasn't it, that you and I were on for?
Yeah, and it was Australia in full flow. That's going to be a bit chastening for anyone, really. One who got on top of Travis Head was Brad Curry.
Edged for 4. Taking a bit of a chance, but at least he's thrown the full bat at it. He's trying to go over cover, probably. Instead, it flies away over the head of slip, and our security guard will have to change his seating position to help us out.
Well, if you're going to flash hard, there's an example of the old truism, because I might just get you 4.
Did play in those Scotland A games against Nepal. He played in one of them anyway. He was wicketless, 4 overs, none for 22. That was really probably what pressed the case of Malachy Jones. 4 wickets in the 2 games, including 3 for 16 in the win. Down the leg side, flicks the pad, so won't be giving us a wide. The 50s come up. For Nepal, let's talk about them as we get to the end of the 11th. 51 for 3. Can they find a way back into this contest?
Of course they can. It's not going to be easy, though. They're going to need probably 2 outstanding innings in the way that Scotland did. And I am loath to rule them out. You'd say most times, 9 times out of 10, maybe even more, the team who's got such a good start, who's put up that innings and they're defending that score and they've got the opposition down 51 for 3, is absolutely in the box seat. What I would say, well, you're going to need a couple of really impressive.
Hello guys, subscribe to our channel.
Things could happen.
I do agree with you, though. Someone's got to get a big score. I think I just said Malachy Jones, didn't I? He was the 17-year-old who played for Bermuda. I've had a long 3 days, Mel.
Yeah. There's
Mackenzie Jones.
There's not even a hint of criticism. I was just wondering, it seemed like a name out of the blue.
Yeah, Malachy Jones is the young 17-year-old who, well, for those who remember the Dwayne Leverock catch, that was the man who bowled it. I've gone deep into the grey matter there.
You have.
The barely active grey matter.
And what you've done in the last couple of days, and I'm interested to hear more about this, the Cricket Connects, and what might be able to be done for the game, because you basically left here yesterday and had to head down to Edinburgh Airport, jump on a plane, and you were back at about midnight last night.
Yeah, well, look, firstly, a huge honour to be invited down. Asked really to go down, I think primarily to speak on behalf of the associate game and the developing game around the world. It's an amazing place. Firstly, Lords, there's no doubt about that. It's Lords is the home of cricket for a reason, and yeah, the MCC put on this conference for the 2nd year now. That's driven flowingly through the covers. Gorgeous stroke from Arif Sheikh. He loves that Iceman nickname. He told us that, didn't he, last week? And whatever the situation, when he comes to the crease, he'll always give his best.
Yeah, that one is just overpitched slightly, and he wasn't going to miss out on that. It was a lovely drive. And just keeping Nepal interested. A little bit more of an expensive over so far from McMullen.
It does get easier as the day goes on, remember. That's the other thing to consider. Just one final point on, I don't know if our camera guys can show number 59. Speaking of my mistake in calling Mackenzie Jones Malachy Jones, the Bermudan player. Malachy Jones is about 5'9", by the way. He looks a bit different in height to Mackenzie Jones. What they've actually done with Mackenzie Jones's jersey, and I've never seen this before. He's number 59. I don't know if we can. It's going to be difficult because he keeps turning round. But they've stuck on the back of his jersey M.A. Jones to differentiate. Of the 20 teams at the T20 World Cup, maybe 14 or 15 of them had some kind and the feedback overwhelmingly was everyone wants more cricket with context, and I think there was a general consensus that people would love to see, you know, more of a narrative and an understandable element to international cricket, which we have in the associate game.
Yes.
That's something I kept saying to people. I said, well, hold on, you're talking about a lack of a narrative and you know, somewhat meaningless bilateral cricket only up with the test nations. We have that in these brilliant ICC structures, particularly the ODI structures through Cricket World Cup League 2 and the Challenge League beneath it. But yeah, look, it was a fascinating day. I was part of a panel then in the afternoon discussing whether or not is cricket cool, which really, because of the strength of opinion in the morning on how and why we should be growing the game, turned into a discussion not just about that, but as to why it is so important to grow the game and why there are so many opportunities in the likes of the leading associates that we're covering here in Cricket World Cup League 2. 13 overs bowled at 61 for 3, but look, it was outstandingly well put on. It was just on a personal level, Mel, a huge honour to be asked there to kind of, I wasn't asked there in my capacity as an Irishman, I was asked there in my capacity as an associate cricket advocate. And, you know, Mark Nicholas, who chaired the thing, was called on me quite a bit to kind of speak about the non-test nations, and you know, the plight of Scotland's women not having any fixtures was spoken about, the lack of funding that so many of the leading associates suffer from, and the amateur nature of some of their setups as a consequence, and what they could do really with a few more crumbs from the global games table, let alone some significant financial investment, and how really it would be a massive win-win for all concerned. The game would expand and grow, there'd be more competitive teams in the world. We actually have quite a good structure up at the very top level now. We just need to be able to support those teams that are getting to the enlarged 20 and 14 Team World Cups in the men's game. And then we heard Craig Wallace talking, didn't we, on air earlier, about how he doesn't think 8 teams is enough in the Women's ODI World Cup. That should be more. We do go to 12 in the T20 World Cup. But yeah, some amazing people there. Mel Jones and Alison Mitchell, Isha Gua were there. Kane Williamson, Graham Smith. There was a huge number of people involved in the franchise game. And I think a lot of those involved in the franchise game were saying, you know, we're really bringing some professionalism to our leagues, and some of those boards need to kind of come with us and join us for their